Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Are you ready for a journey through time, playing every single video game on all platforms all over the world? We're currently in the beginning of November 1982. And we were last in Japan playing on the Pyuta, or in the United States, the Tomy Tutor. This is Traffic Jam. Let's see what our next game is. Our next release is another big one. The hits just keep on coming. This is Time Pilot. Let's check it out. Here's the advertisement flyer for Time Pilot, or one of the first advertisement flyers for Time Pilot. This is our 484th game that we've seen in the arcade. Can you reach AD 2001? Well, I don't think this show is ever going to reach the 90s, so we're probably not going to see AD 2001. It explains how to control the game with our 8-way joystick, but rather than have the advertisement flyer explain it to us, let's have Starcade, the TV show, explain it to us.
If you've ever dreamed of a journey through time, get ready because you're about to become the Time Pilot, racing your sleek jet at Mach speed, encountering a century of flying machines from the 1910 biplane to the UFOs of the future. Rescue parachuting pilots for extra points as you race through time. 100 years will pass before the eyes of the Time Pilot.
There you go. Now I don't have to say anything whatsoever because they just explained everything. But yeah, the advertisement flyer for this one is really informative. And we also have the back of it giving you some few screenshots and where you're going to be traveling through time. 1910, 1940, 1970, 1982. Sweet. Yeah, let's go everywhere. They got the difficulty levels, game lives, bonuses. I'm already seeing a rating being thrown out for the game. Yeah, throw out the ratings right now. Why not? Yeah, there we go. Then we have the original that we first saw in Japan. Pretty much the same thing we saw, just in Japanese text. Awesome. Yeah, pick up the parachuters too. If you ever dreamed of journey through time, now's your chance. We're going to go to all these places, time traveling in video games. So cool. It is awesome. Man, there's just so much about, even these advertisement flyers have a lot going for them. It's so cool. This was originally done by Konami in the arcades in Japan, and that's what we're going to be seeing first, the very first time you could ever see Time Pilot. This is the 33rd game that Konami has had anything to do with as far as video games. Imagine a world where Konami only has 33 games. 3 games for the NEC PC 6001, and because of Frogger, we have 1 on the Atari home computer, 1 on the Apple II, 2 on the Arcadia 2001, 1 on the Philips Video Pack, and 2 on the Intex Adventure Vision, and 2 games for the Pyuta. This is the 18th game that Konami has, or that we've seen by Konami for the arcade. And there it is, the arcade cabinet. Nice. And this was picked up by Century, this was picked up by Atari, and Konami originally in Japan. So there are lots of different arcade marquees and styles that they put it in. Like here's another example of your arcade cabinet. Artwork is awesome. Done so well. There you go. Yeah, and there you go. And another one. There's the one advertisement flyer that Atari picked up. Yeah, so many different ones. I've only seen one. The only one I saw was the Century one. Cool to see the Atari one, though. There's the example of that one. And there's arcade PCB and the control panel. We have an 8-way joystick. All 8 different directions. Control is so cool. We'll get into that when we boot the game up. There's our scoring and game instructions. Yeah, all you got to do is move and fire. There's the arcade marquee for Time Pilot, and then the other one done by Century. Yeah, there we go, and the Konami one. Sweet. I think I like this one the best. Yeah, and an example of the screenshot. Very cool. All right, the operator's manual for Time Pilot. Let's see what it says about the game itself. How did they describe the game right now? This was originally developed by Yoshiki Okamoto, and it's the first game that we've seen him do. Time Pilot by Century, or at least published by Century. Does it say about the game? I don't think so. Arcade cabinet. Oh, there it is. Yes. Continuing the policy, blah, blah, blah. Player controls the plane with 8-way joystick, shoots enemies, fire button. Not very imaginative. Round 1, the age of the biplane. Round 2, the age of the monoplane. Round 3, the age of the helicopter. Round 4, the age of the jet plane. Round 5, the age of the UFO. And continues with round 7 and 8, making your mission harder and harder after all the planes are destroyed. Every mission, you have to complete a number of kills with the planes. So cool. All right, so this one has different versions. Let's see a few different ones, like just to show you the artwork. Let's go to the arcade and play Time Pilot by Konami in the beginning of November 1982. So here's the Atari one, and just a little bit of the artwork, arcade marquee, and how they displayed it down at the bottom. It looks almost like the logo for the Marines. Very, very war aesthetic or military aesthetic. And we've seen plenty of arcade games by Atari. So there you go. A quick taste of what the artwork looks like on the Atari version. The original in Japan, how they marketed it, and the arcade cabinet looked, and artwork for that one. Oh, there we go. We just have the arcade marquee at the top. That's what you would have first seen if you were in Japan. And then finally, the one that we're going to see is the one by Century. No matter which arcade cabinet you saw, we're trying to showcase and give you as much as possible for the game. Look at that. Lots of information. Game instructions are really detailed down at the below, too. So they're going through the attract mode right now for the game. This is the 14th game that we've seen Century publish of all the games, but Konami's the more interesting one who did the development. All right, so what I'm going to do is zoom in. This is way too far away. There we go. Awesome. Ready, set, go. All right, so what I'm going to do first is we start off in 1910, but I want to show you the controls. When you see the game, you think of it as some of the other top-down shooters we played, like Bosconian, or maybe even you think of Asteroids, because the ship is almost looks like it's appearing that way. It's really from a side view, but whenever we played other games that were like this, the control scheme was a relative control scheme, which means that if I'm wanting to turn the ship, if I continue to turn to the left or to the right, the ship would continue to rotate around relative to whatever position I was. Time Pilot does not do that. It's one of the first games that's using an absolute control scheme, which means right now, if my plane's flying up and I push down on the joystick, well, now I got blown up. Let's do it again. If I'm going up and I push down on the joystick, blown up again. There's a lot of planes to shoot. It's hard to do a demonstration when everyone's flying at us. I know the control is so tight. All right, let's go in again. Push start again. Yeah, the movement's what's so cool about it. But if I push down on the joystick, it rotates completely around for me. If I go back up, it rotates completely back up for me. That's the first thing that makes this unique compared to other shooters. The second thing is my shot. Every time I fire a shot, it is a triple shot. Look at that. So that's just one tap of the button, and I'm getting a triple shot. So you already feel this great firepower, and you can kind of get this flow going. If you tap the triple shot in a rhythm, then you have a really, really good spread of your shots like that. The other thing I did to showcase tonight is I'm doing another free play, so you'll not see my lives go down or disappear. We're just going to keep on going and keep playing as far as we can, level to level. So even though I was dying on those demonstrations, I wasn't doing a true run. Now we'll go ahead and run through as far as we can, playing Time Pilot. I already got to tell you how much the control feels awesome. The AOA joystick is nice, and because of that control, the absolute control, it feels like you got buttery smooth control of this plane flying around. And the triple shot just makes you feel so overpowered. It's awesome. No way, I've never even heard of the sit-down model. If there's one, send it my way. When you do kill enough of the planes for the area that you're in, then the boss shows up. So now we got the blimp. Oh, the humanity. Where'd it go? There it is. Fire enough shots off on it. And there you go. Move on to the next round. I've hit on this before when we play arcade cabinets. In the back of most of these, you're going to have dip switches that allow you to make changes to the difficulty of the game. And this one's on a fairly average difficulty, but this game offers, I think, 8 different options of difficulty. So you can crank this sucker up and have lots of planes flying at you, more bullets, faster bullets. But you can see it's one hit, one death. And if we did have enough money, let's say we brought bags and bags of quarters to the arcade, it wouldn't make a difference because this is not a pay-to-play game. You cannot continue in the era where you left off. You have to be that good. And because of the time travel theme, you want to see what's next. What is the next type of enemy that you're going to get? That's another big draw for this one. I love that every era that I'm in 1940 right now, I got different enemy types, and I want to see whatever's next and go farther and farther into the future. And every area has a quota of the number of planes you have to destroy before the boss shows up. That's the other thing that's great about this, is you're getting a boss on every level or time that you're in. Oh, I thought I had infinite lives. I guess not. All right, we'll put in a high score. Does this mean we're going to start back all the way? Let's just check. Ready? And go. Oh, yes, and if you get a combo, shooting all the groups in, you get bonus points. Thanks, Kun. Yeah, I really appreciate everybody here on the live show pointing out even more tips, tricks, trivia. I've heard and learned so much. Keep it coming. Every time you travel through time, you are going to see different backgrounds, but what you see here is the game. Every single game mode has you flying around completely. It is an awesome idea for a shoot 'em up. Maybe it's not turned on. I'm pretty sure I had the free play turned on, but it doesn't look like it is now. All right, where's our boss? Oh man, but I love the controls. It's so great. You can see whenever the enemies get clumped together in groups, that's where you want to be able to shoot as many as you can in a row to try to get all of them to get extra bonus points. Oh man, there it is. It'll come back for us. Yes, and then strike a pose and travel through time. So cool. Make it to stage 2. And every stage has a boss, which is also what makes that big. We also have this really slight parallax scrolling going on, but essentially you're just flying through sky. Which is also interesting because most of the shoot 'em ups that we play are sci-fi themed, so you're in spaceships. We kind of feel like we're playing in a jet or an airplane. I know that we're, doing time travel, so we have to have a spaceship, right? Awesome. Oh, man. Yeah, it is so much fun to play. As far as shoot-em-ups go, this doesn't have too many games that we can be comparing to for everything else that's out there. The free scrolling shoot-em-up is rare. Most of the time we get scrolling, horizontally or vertically. But then sometimes we have scrolling in different directions like we did with Vanguard. Yes, I like that. You can strike the pose at the end. But we have Bosconian, which I've already mentioned. That's a free scrolling shooter that's like this. Then we also have Moon War that's out there. Gravatar is another one. This one, they have the homing missiles. And as you move through time, the technology of your enemies gets improved. So you're actually going to be fighting harder and harder enemies as you move on. And man, oh man, I just would want to stay in the arcade and continue to play Time Pilot as much as possible, go as far as I can, because that's one of the things about the continue option for video games. If you have enough money, continue will let you see the end of the game. But this game requires skill, so if you go further and further and realize, oh, I do want to see what the next stage is like, what the enemies are going to be like, what the boss is going to be like, you end up playing over and over and over again the same stage to be able to increase your skill so you can see the next one. All right, so we have a good range going on here. Man, the homing missiles, though, are crazy. So here we go. We got the boss that showed up. Get it. Awesome. Here we go. Into the future. 1983. Oh, that's another thing, too. If you play the original Konami, it says 1982 that you travel to. But when Centuri picks it up, this one, and it says 1983. We're really in the future if it's currently November 1982. Oh man, but that's a really, really fun game. So cool. So the controls, the triple shot, the multi-directional shooter, the ability to go all directions freely scrolling, it's a blast. It is one of the best games you could play right now in the arcade. And I'm trying to think of anything at home. There's nothing at home really you can compare this to. This is only in the arcade right now. Whoa, 15 million. Thanks to Errol for posting that one. So there you go, a taste of Time Pilot, the latest arcade game of all the arcade games you could play across all arcade that's up to this point. This is top tier. We originally, when we first saw Bosconian in the arcade, the freely scrolling shoot 'em up, I gave it 5 stars. That was 1981. Since then, we've had a few others, but not nearly as many of all the games you could play up to this point. Looking over in the chat, wow, I don't think I've seen as many 5s as I have. There's I go, I got a 4.5. Yeah, and I'm on the same boat. Time Pilot is a true gem. This is, again, another Golden Age arcade game. It's a must. One of the best games you could play up to this point. 5 stars for Time Pilot. Play it now and go all the way. Can you get to the year 2001 AD? Not us. At least not this time. Awesome. All right, let's see our next game after that. We're next going to the Apple II to play Tubeway. I'm not familiar with this one. Let's check out Tubeway together. Tubeway, only $34.95 on your Apple II. Dramatic arcade action, fastest, fascinating new style space games. Be the first to master Tubeway. Now, it kind of gives it away. Anyone want to call out that front of the box before I do? They don't even mention the original game because computer games usually didn't do that. All right, let's flip it over on the back. It's by Datamost. You're on the outer edges of space where the beings from a strange geometric universe created the Tubeway. You bet, Pal Puck, that's right. Tempest it is. And it's rare, very rare to see a Tempest game right now. The outstanding example of arcade action in space games. You've never had more fun, more excitement, and they don't mention anything about Tempest anywhere. It's a very blatant ripoff, though. What other artwork do we have for Tubeway? There we go, a different box, just a different scan of it. A little harder to come by. Man, but Apple II, I'm not familiar with this one. This one is only for the Apple II. This marks our 413th game that we played on that computer from 1977. Oh yeah, there's the 5 1/4 floppy disk by Datamost. This is the 21st game that we've seen by Datamost on all systems. Majority of them have been on Apple II. Yep, there's the example of the screenshot. You know where we're going. All right, and here's the manual or the inside sleeve for Tubeway by David Arthur Van Brink, the very first game that we've seen him do. And they have lore, no way. You've been out on a quiet, uneventful mission, patrolling the frontiers of space when suddenly the universe itself seems to crack and tremble. That's awesome. Great lore story. We probably need more. Tubeway can be played with paddles, joystick, or the keyboard. After the disc is inserted, you can redefine your control keys. You can change them to the way you want them to play. Tubeway has 32 levels. 2 sound levels. You can change the sound, turning it on or off, and you're basically, I like how it explains this, thinking we don't know what Tempest is. Your alien ship gets to the outer rim and has to shoot through the white bar super zapper and destroy it. In the round, deadly destroyer appears, will track you relentlessly. You cannot destroy, but you can run. You can get the super zapper to hit. The destroyer will be returned to its cage. The vertical lines on the right side, so the remaining before the super zapper is active and destroyer is released. Cool, so there's our scoring. Over on the right side, write those down. It says High Adventure, Fast Action Arcade. Do they really know how to define video games right now? Because we've heard the term adventure and role-playing just thrown out, and they really don't know what they're talking about. No, chiptune, it doesn't have variants. It does have a level select, though, but that really doesn't count. Yeah, no variants. So this one, I got a cleanly cracked version or a cracked version. We're going to try to go with a clean version and see what happens. This is Tubeway, Datamost, in the beginning of November 1982. Let's see what you got. So we already heard the term Tempest. This is what we would refer to as a tube shooter, and it's the 8th game we played. That's a tube shooter. Nice title screen. Doesn't show off the Tempest vibe right there. I like the control options. You can play with paddles, you can play with analog joystick, and you can play with keyboard if you want to. So if you go to the beginning, you can see here, this allows you to redefine all your controls, change up what you want, if you want paddles or not. We're going with paddles. I mean, that's the best way to play Tempest, right? Here we go. And we're in. So there you go. The way this works is I'm moving the crosshair around, firing at the enemies, and it is interesting what this level layout looks. Oh, he already got me. But this is really, really impressive. Just because there isn't anything, a real true way to play Tempest, just the look of this and the way that this plays with the paddle, this is probably one of the best ways we've seen Tempest at home since the arcade version. We originally saw Tempest October 1981, and since then we've seen Storm on the TRS-80 color computer that was close to Tempest, and then the Exterminator on the Atari home computer. That one took the Tempest idea but made it like a web with spiders. But that's it. This is the third way or variant of Tempest, and there's nothing else out there. So as of right now, this right here is the best way to play Tempest. The way this looks, and they got away with it too. Yeah, right? It's almost too good the way this looks on the Apple II. They don't have the cool flying effect, and of course there's no vector graphics or anything. What we need now is Tempest for the Vectrex. But that doesn't exist right now. This right here is the best Tempest. Oh, the guy underneath me. Wow, I am amazed. I'm shocked, right? Never even heard of this port of Tempest. The different control schemes are another thing that takes this over the top. If you want to play with joystick, go for it. If you want to play with paddles, go for it. If you want to do keyboard controls, do it. If you want to do keyboard controls and define the keys the way you want, go for it. Oh, the other thing too is we're almost seeing the same level every time. But what you can do is, in the middle of the game right now, you can hit escape, and then it'll pause the game, and then if you hit R, you can pick the level. So you can choose which one you want to see. Like, let's say we want to see what 7 looks like. It'll fly us to 7, and you can go to the 7th level. So the level select is another nice feature. They explain that in the manual too. They have a few different enemy types. Not too many, but just this premise is awesome. It's a tube shooter, shoot 'em up, but more specifically, it's the best way to play Tempest at home right now. In November 1982. Give me another Tempest game that you could play at home right now, because I don't know if we're going to see anything else. We haven't finished 1982 yet, but I mean, we're nearing the end already. I also like the pseudo wireframe. The way that they're doing this to try to match vector graphics is awesome. Yeah, this is pretty nice. It still has sound effects that are typical for the Apple II. So if your ears, are bleeding and you're doing a little cringe, that's just the way the Apple II sounds. So no complaints there. All right, there's an example of Tempest. Oh, a tube-way. Sorry, my mistake. I had them confused. I forgot what game I was playing. Of all the games you can be playing right now across all home computers, this is a novelty. This is a treat. If Tempest is what you love, if that's the only game you play on the arcade, then Tubeway would be a must. You'd be rating this 5 stars of all the games you could play across all home computers, because there's really nothing else that can compare it to. I'll include links. Maybe you can check out Storm on the Coco or the Exterminator. They don't play like this. They don't look like this. It's pretty good. Looking over the chat, I see most people saying 4 stars of all the games you could play across all home computers. I'm almost to the point to say this is one of the best games you could play across all home computers, just because it's not there's no other game that's like this. But at the same time, it does have faults. There's only 8 stages. It has not a lot of randomness to it. Yeah, around the 4s is what I see for most people, and then a 3.5. Yes, good tube shoot. It was a good tube shoot. Yeah, we'll go 4. It is excellent for all the games you could play across all home computers. Tubeway, check that one out. All right, let's see what our next game is. We're next going to Japan to play again on the Pyota. This is Turpin. We've seen this one too. Let's check out the box for Turpin. Oh, once again, in Japan, they have the coolest boxes. In fact, to tell you the truth, even though this is marketed to kids, the Tomy Tutor or the Pyota, all the boxes we've seen from Japan have been collectible items. Like, wouldn't you want to collect these kind of boxes? They look awesome. 16-bit graphic computer. And we've seen this one already. This was originally released in the arcades in 1981. and then released in North America called Turtles in January 1982 in the arcades. And then we saw it on the Emerson Arcadia 2001 home console in May 1982, and then after that it was on the Intex AdventureVision in October 1982. Here it is, the next release of Turpin, or Turtles, if you will. Has 4 on the side. So again, is the 4 mean it's the 4th game? I don't know. Oh, yes, right. It should look like the ColecoVision version, right? So if you look on the back, they got really interesting pixel art. It doesn't look like what you'd expect, at least the way the shape of the turtle is, and it's not really going for a one-to-one with what the arcade has. They're trying to do something different here on the Piuta. Do we have any other artwork for Turpin? Whoa, we have a totally messed up reconstructed box, and then we got an example of the screenshot. And we have no manual on this one. This one is only available in Japan. Let's play some Turpin. This was made by Konami for Tomy in the beginning of November 1982. That's right, another game by Konami. I am so excited. That means this is the 34th game we've seen by Konami up to this point. All right, so I'm going to go in. I've said it before, I am playing on a American Tomy Tutor, but this game was only available first in Japan on the Piuta. There it is. We get music again. We get the arcade feels. Yeah, look at the way that the characters design. The turtle and then the bugs. They don't really look like bugs. They look almost like turtles still. But they're going through this attract mode right here. This is the 6th game that we've seen for the Piuta. There is no such thing as the Tomy Tutor yet. And Konami's still kicking, bringing more games, and it's difficult to say who exactly did the development on this one. If you know, please drop me a line. All right, so I'm going to go in with game mode 1, and we're going to go with amateur mode. Oh, pro mode. Sorry, pro. All right, so I'm at the bottom of the screen as the turtle. If you haven't seen Turpin or Turtles, the idea of the game is I am a mother turtle. I am wandering around, going to where the question mark blocks are, and I pick up, well, either an enemy like that, or I find a baby turtle to bring home. And that one's, oh gosh, we're getting really bad lucks of the draw. There you go, there's a baby turtle. And then it goes on your back, and then you bring it home. And that's Turtles or Turpin. Now we have lots of enemies out there. You do have a way to lay bait for the other enemies, but we've already been caught. It does look like beetles, though, right? And to my knowledge, we haven't seen the ColecoVision version of this. This, to my memory, shouldn't look like... This looks totally different. And yes, I'm with you too, Nebulous. It does look slow. And it looks low res, and the control feels slower too. Like it feels like I'm chugging. Or almost like tile-based. So it feels like this wasn't programmed the same way that we've seen other games for this home computer. And I've seen some video footage of the Piuta itself playing this, and it's the same thing. It's not a smooth experience. So what's going on? So I really don't want to call out Konami for this. So maybe it wasn't Konami that did. Maybe they just offered the licensing for this one. Yeah, I feel slow as the turtle. I already had middling around average rating for Turtles or Turpin when we saw it, because it's a top-down maze game. At this point, the top-down maze game that, Head-On and Pac-Man inspired, this is the 297th top-down maze game of all the games we've seen on all platforms. It is not new. And when we saw it, it was, a variation of Pac-Man. This one is, yet again, just another variation of Pac-Man, but it's even playing, worse than the arcade. So I gotta say, if you were playing other games on home computers, this one is not gonna inspire you or have a good time for it. Oh yeah, James. Okay, then we'll see it on those. At this point, that's all we've seen it on. When you could play it at home was the Intex AdventureVision and the Emerson Arcadia 2001, and that's it. For those clamoring for Turtles. There we go, get another power-up. I haven't dropped any of these. You can drop those to lure enemies away, but they're not even taking the bait. That's the other thing that felt off about this when we played it in the arcades. You don't have a power-up you can use it well It's you dropping and using bait to ward off enemies instead of, powering up to destroy them. You don't get to do any of that, so it doesn't feel as fun, at least in my opinion. So in the arcades, we rated both the Turtles and Turpin 3.5 stars. And so since then, when we saw it at home, it was pretty close. This actually is playing worse than the Arcadia 2001 home console version. Is he gonna go for me or not? And what's up with the AI? The AI feels off too. It's just struggling. Why is it struggling? The poor... well, it is a turtle. You're playing as a turtle, so why not, right? Nice, we get a little bonus when we finish the round, and then you move on. The other thing they don't have that the arcade had was you're supposed to be going up floors in a building. You don't have that here. Yes, the sound is ear-piercing. It's not as bad, though, considering the other games we could be playing on home computers. It's really the gameplay that's bringing this down, the slowness of it. And you can't pick up multiple turtles. So while I gave it around average ratings for the arcade, now that it was at home, this version is not a very solid version as far as the other ones that you could be playing. Yeah, James, I already see a 2.5 star rating of all the games you could play, and then a 3 still around the average range for everything else. Something's off. This feels like this game plays like shame. Something's going on. I don't know exactly what it is. This is our 130th game that we played. That is a variant of Pac-Man. That's across all systems. 130 Pac-Man-like games. It is Turpin. I don't think we need any more notebook paper, Tommy Tutor. So of all the games you can play across all home computers, that's a lot of competition. Turpin actually is still around the average range, but I wouldn't necessarily call it bad if you consider everything else that you could play on home computers. Looking over in the chat, yeah, I see some 2.5s too. Did anybody go lower? Oh, there we go. Steve's being generous with a 3.5. Still around the average range. If you're just now joining us, we rate everything based on right now for all video games. If you think this is broken compared to all computers that you could play right now, you'd be somewhere around the 1-star range. If you call this game bad of all the games you could play, then you're around the 2-star range. If you think this is pretty average for all the games you could play on all home computers, then you're around the 3-star range. Anything that's great or excellent, above average, then you're somewhere around the 4-star range. And if you think this is one of the best games you could play across all home computers right now in November 1982, then that's the 5-star range. But I'm going 2.5 stars for Turpin. It's okay. It is all right. All right, now let's go press forward with one more game. Let's play Saucer Formation on the Atari home computer. You wanted more? We'll give you more. This one is a type-in game from Softside Magazine. We've already seen this magazine with type-in games. We played Hopper, which got the cover. A type-in game got the cover. We've already seen that one. This one, if you flip to the right page, there it is, Saucer Formation. This is going to mark our 396th game we've played for the Atari home computer. If you type it all in, then you can play it. Yes, Errol, be afraid. It's basic gaming. Let's type in and play Saucer Formation. Whenever you got the magazine and typed it in. This is by David N. Plotkin. For Softside Magazine or Softside Publications. This is the 34th game that we've typed in and played by Softside Publications, and it's the 88th the 88th game that we've typed in to play, or a type-in style game on Chronologically Gaming. I'm very scared. Oh, it loaded. I heard sound. I think we have to speed it up a little. There it is. Oh my gosh. It just went in and crashed. All right, this is Saucer Formation. I can move left and right at the speed of smell. Wow, it is so ridiculously slow. It is so slow that it makes me want to kill all basic gaming. The response time is no joke, about a 3-second delay. Let me see. 2 second. Okay, it's a 2-second delay, but all I'm doing is moving left and right and firing at the bottom of the screen. Yikes. This is the third game we've seen by David N. Plotkin after Cavern Battle and Attack on the Death Star. Let's say something positive about it. Saucer Formation is not exactly doing Galaxian or a shooter we've seen exactly, like with this large enemy that's coming down in layers like this? Sort of. But you can't let any of them... Gosh, it is so laggy and slow. Yes, we have all your base. Oh, man. There it is. I can't even describe the controls because it's that much of a lag. It's really, really bad. This one is a fixed shooter. You move left, right, and you move fire. At this point on Chronologically Gaming, since September 1971, we've played 373 fixed shooters. Thanks to Space Invaders. It's all their fault. Yeah, oh yeah, he did write articles too. That's right. Oh, yikes. But that's it. That's all I can handle for Saucer Formation. We started at the top video games tonight, and we ended pretty much at the bottom of the barrel. Now, granted, it's a type-in game, but man, if I spent time to type that in, and then the game was running like that, I would have felt like I wasted my time. Saucer Formation is way low of all the video games you could play across all home computers, but now you can kind of understand the spectrum of where we're going here. Yes, right? On a 5-star rating scale, it's way down in the broken range, in my opinion. Because if you consider everything else you can play on home computers, that's barely playable just because of how slow it is. Yes, got a 1.5 from Nebulous in the chat. Very, very generous. If you say 1.5, I'm going to say 1 star. I consider this in the broken range of video games. It does work with a joystick, the Atari VCS joystick, which is kind of cool, but that's about it. All right, that's where we got to put our video game playing on pause. Thanks so much for joining me live on the show. Be sure to come in whenever you can, because you can be a Chronologically Gaming influencer. Throwing out your ratings in the chat really gets me a good perspective or a mindset to remind me, hey, it's November 1982. We should be rating these games based on just everything else that's out right now. We can't compare it to Halo. We can't compare it to open world or sandbox games. None of those things exist. It's only November 1982. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, we have more releases for the brand new Atari 5200. We might be commanding missiles, we might be raiding stars, something like that. And we are going turbo for the very first time at home. That's it for today, and like I always say, will we ever get to the year AD 2001? Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.